£100 weight loss transformation, weigh-in number 2. Dropped 4 kilos now in just short of 2 weeks. So not been able to get out much walking because my Achilles tendon has just flared up completely. So I was like, just as I get going, seemed to get that obstacle in the path, but managed to get out today a little bit, just going for a gentle stroll, nothing crazy, still a bit of a limp, but just wanted to check in to show that we keep going, we're on that journey, you know, those kilos keep coming off, and you know, really had to focus on more on the nutrition as opposed to the exercise. So, but you know, we're finding a little bit of mojo back now, and really and truthfully, guys, just, you know, I think that how much pain can be rooted in your dietary, you know, where the way that you schedule your diet and how you conduct your eating habits, etc. Because, you know, last weekend for me was a tough time of an anniversary of one of my best friends' deaths, who committed suicide. So, and then I had a lot of I was speaking in the prison on Tuesday, and I was speaking to some rugby club on Thursday. So it was just felt like, you know, there was so much kind of happening that week. The Achilles tendon, I felt emotional, I was giving out loads, and usually that's the time when I would use food as a comfort. Thankfully, I was able to stick to the plan that I've kind of got 80-90%. You know, it wasn't perfect. There was one night where, you know, I made pie and peas rather than a high protein. You know, I'd had, you know, a shortbread with my coffee because it came on the side of the plate, but I didn't order a cake. So I suppose it swings and roundabouts, but, you know, I just feel that for so long the excuses have been rooted in the pain and the trauma, and, you know, I've done a lot of work on myself in that area, you know, years and years of it. So I do have a real deep understanding of it, and that's when I go and speak in the prisons or in the schools or to, you know, groups of men or whatever else, that, you know, I understand mental health to a degree that most people wouldn't, you know, and finding my friend who took his life and then being in a position in myself in 2013 where I was going to take my life, but thankfully had an encounter with Jesus in a prison cell, which for me were life transformational. Part of that journey now is the being 1% different each day, and I think the years where, just look at the waterfall there, the beck coming through, that's full of colour this morning. That's on its way down to York first, and then away it goes. Beautiful spot, to be fair. These are kind of the origins of the, you know, of the early rivers. Anyway, we're off track there. ADHD brain. But yeah, no, I really do feel that perhaps sometimes, you know, we get so bogged down in what's wrong, what's happened to us, what we've experienced, what we've been through, the negatives, that quite often that can have such a massive dramatic knock-on effect to our eating habits. And that's exactly what I'd done, you know, as a professional rugby league player. Could kind of eat what I want, so active, so busy, you know, following rugby, was a PT and fitness instructor and different things, and then started to get some health stuff, injuries and health issues, you know, back end of 2018, and just from then until now, it's just been, you know, those few pounds a week in the wrong direction, which has got to the point where at the worst I'd gone up to 164 kilos, so I'm nearly 20 kilos less than what I was when I first started this journey. but I haven't got below the 130s. You know, I haven't been below 20 stone in over 7 years, and for me, kind of hitting those kind of targets, getting back to the weight loss, you know, journey has been so paramount to the mental health, to life in itself, to motivation, friendships, relationships. I think everything, you know, everything's kind of based around how you feel about yourself. And when you don't feel healthy and great, and then I saw, you know, as much as my son said, no, don't be silly, Dad. I know that when you're a teenager, being out and about with, you know, with your fat dad can be embarrassing. And, you know, I remember when we was away, not last year, a couple of years before that, where, you know, I could see it, and he didn't want to kind of even hang around the pool or anything with me because, you know, I was absolutely at my biggest. So, you know, they're all motivating factors, you know, health, relationships, getting back to where you was, not using food to deal with your emotions, being emotion driven, personality, allowing that to dictate, you know, how I respond to foods as well. But also I think, you know, education, knowing better than that, teaching it, modelling it for a lot of years, and then now I kind of feel a little bit hypocritical how militant I was as a coach and as a PT and as an instructor, and how many lives I tried to motivate to positive change. And the same thing when I'm speaking now, sometimes when it's a tough atmosphere, or, you know, there's a lot on, like on Tuesday I had a session in the morning which was quite intense, a session in the afternoon which was intense, a long drive there and back, and, you know, I felt it. And I think that being in good physical condition helps in all areas, but also then keeping the mind right. And on Thursday night I shared quite specifically to a group of men, under 18s and open age rugby players, around men's mental health. And I think that, again, modelling what health looks like physically surely then has a ripple effect mentally. So, you know, just wanted to jump on today and just give a bit of an update of the progress. You know, we will be 2 weeks in on Tuesday, 4 kilos down from the start. Had a little bit of an Achilles tendon flare up, so not been able to get the walks or the mileage in that I'd like to have done. Through my own fault, I did a little bit of a jog because it was really soft ground, so I felt I could run. And it's that old saying, you know, don't run before you can walk, and I did, and now it's paying the penalty really, because the tendon is just so sore, where this week I've only been able to literally go, you know, a few hundred yards. Well, you know, today I try and do a bit further and get back up to get those steps up and everything else. This time last year I was averaging, you know, 10 to 15, then 20 miles, and then did the Yorkshire Three Peaks as part of getting back active from the biggest I'd got to last year. And then obviously had an operation at the back end of summer, which has put me back, and I've been waiting for the final operation to come this month, but that's going to be rescheduled now. So I'm glad that I made the start and didn't put it off and wait for, let's just wait till this happens. You know, I think just get up and start, and then I'm already in the swing. And if I've got to have a couple of weeks recovery in regards to the operation, then I'm not starting from scratch again. I'm starting from a bit further forward, because you guys know how quickly it takes to get back going once you've had a bit of a break. So I just wanted to thank you for the encouragement, thank you for the comments, thank you for the support £100 transformation. Keep following the journey.